Hi everyone, it's Penny and I'm back. I have pulled out my junk journal that I made with all kinds of different types of papers in it. And so I find this little playing card. I want to reinforce this page a little bit that is behind this. So I did some gel printing and it's very thin kind of rice paper. You can see right there how easily it moves and could tear. So I want to reinforce the corners. So this was sitting on my desk. This is use whatever's close near by me at my desk day. So whatever I look around and see is what I'm going to throw on the pages. But I want to put down some paint. And I decide that I am going to put just a particular palette that I have in mind. And after I see the colors that I choose, I definitely have spring in my mind. So I am just going to lay down colors, nothing pretty, nothing special. I'm just moving my brush around the page and putting the color around. I add white to it sometimes. I add a couple of colors together. But I just want to get some pretty spring colors on these pages, these facing pages. So what happens is, I will do this quite often with my art journal. If I don't know what I want to do that day, I just start working on backgrounds. And this kind of evolved on me today because I sat down just to work in this journal. Well, I end up having paint left over. So while it continues drying, I do more. I do the next page. Then I move to other journals. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to choose colors that go with the gel print that's on the right hand side. I accidentally get some of the black that I had down on my palette a few minutes ago for something. That's all right. That's why I love acrylic. You can paint over it. So I am drying this. These pages can be very thin because the paper that I used to make this journal were very old book pages, a little bit of everything. So I'm going to pull some more gel prints from my folder and I'm going to just tear pieces off of each one. And you might look at these and go, what is she thinking? Those colors don't go with anything that's down there. Well, in hindsight, I realized that I didn't like that fluorescent pink that was on that facing page. So I wanted to pull some colors that I liked, and then you'll see that I kind of downplay that fluorescent pink as I go. So I'm just taking the gel prints, I am tearing them up, I am putting them down with my trusty Yoo-Hoo glue stick, and now I'm going back in and I'm adding some paint in and around them. I am using as dry a brush as I can. After I clean it, I keep an old rag and I get just as much water out of it as I can, because I want some of the texture and what's on the papers to show through the paint. I don't want to completely obliterate everything. Now I had this little butterfly that was sitting on my desk and I had looked at it for several projects and I decided to grab it and use it on this page. And it helped me choose the colors that I want to bring into this page as well. And I use these little things, I think they're called dimensional foam dots. I've had them in my stash for a while. And you can get them in the card making section, I believe, of Michael's. And they're self-adhesive and they make whatever you're putting on there stand up off the page a little bit. So that's what you saw me putting on the back of the butterfly. So I took some paints and I downplayed, as you can see, that fluorescent pink. And I backed it out a little bit. Well, now there's more paint on my palette, so I moved that book over to the side, let it finish drying. And I pull out a couple of pages in my little, I don't know what that is, a little novel. It was a little book I bought at the flea market last year. And I love the size. I use it quite a bit. And I had already thrown some paint on it that was left over on a palette, but I want to keep it going. So I bring in stencils, and these are, let's see, Sean Pettit stencils, I believe is the name of these. And I love this particular one. I've been using it a lot lately because it just has a lot of different types of graphics and images on it that I like for background. So I'm putting a little bit more paint around. I'm even grabbing some more of my gel prints and putting them around the edges. That also helps reinforce. So if I have a page that feels a little flimsy around the edges because of the paint that's been put on, the back and the front, then tearing little pieces of my gel prints and putting them around the edges actually helps reinforce the page. So now that one's done and I have more paint left over on my palette, so I grab another journal. This is the journal that I picked up at Walmart very inexpensively. I think it was about $4. And I love the color of the paper inside of it, but it's not very sturdy. So what you're seeing me do here is I go through and I glue 2 pages together. And that gives me a little more body for adding paint to it so that it doesn't tear and disintegrate on me. So I'm adding some of these colors, the pink and the yellow and the white, and I bring in some purple and some teal. And after I'm finished with this, I'm like, I must have Easter on my mind because that is what is coming out. But I love the colors. I'm in that frame of mind right now, I guess. I've been working out in my garden and thinking about the flowers that are going to be coming up. And I don't know, that just must have been in my subconscious when I started just grabbing paints to use on this. So I keep going with it, and I like to bring in some white to kind of blend it all together. So now I set that over to the side to dry, and I'm bringing back out my junk journal because I still have paint on my palette. So it becomes this vicious cycle because I don't want to waste any paint. But I end up having to add a little bit more of a couple of the other colors because I've used them and I only have yellow left or white left. And then when I'm finished, then I have extra of the others. So I decided just to go with it. I painted as many pages as I could because that gives me a base to get started with the next time I sit down and I want to do something in my journal. So I can either cut and paste things to put on the top of these pages, or I can draw on top of them, and I'll show you one that I did at the end of this. That I did with one of these page spreads that I'm working on now. So still in my junk journal, I turn the page and I keep going. Got a little bit too much purple on this, so I am trying to resurrect it a little bit. And I love this teal, this kind of aqua color that I have. That's become one of my favorite colors lately. So I bring some of that in, and it does really well with the map on the other page. So I'm just going around the edges and trying to get this dried. And I keep going back and forth between these 3 journals that I have going on. So I really like the way the map and the facing page are looking. I don't do anything with those today. I'll come back to them another time, but they're ready to go for whatever I want to put on them. So I ended up doing about 3 2-page spreads in this journal that I really love. And I did them where you can still see some of the writing in the background of the pages. So anytime you're stuck and you want to play but you don't know what you want to do, just make some backgrounds, quick, easy backgrounds. Glue down papers or just slap paint and have fun with it. And then they're there, and there's a starting point the next time you get your journals out, and you're not facing a blank white page that can be a little scary sometimes. So I hope you enjoyed this today. Get out your paints, get messy, have fun. I'll see you next time. Bye.